All right, so we're gonna be talking about some astrology, which is sidereal astrology, and specifically Venus and Leo. Venus, Leo, and we are going to be talking about real astrology. So, not the fake little tropical astrology. So, Venus and Leo, if you actually have it, if you go to a website like this where it calculates it, then you'll use the natal chart, sidereal calculation, and you'll use the Ayanamsa, which is Lahiri, which is based upon wherever location, latitude, longitude, offset you put in, will be most accurately what constellation was in the sky. If you look at the direction of each planet, that's what Lahiri means. There's a couple other ones where like you have like galactic center where it's like it centers like I don't know like something like the Milky Way, or you could choose the Milky Way actually. Like so you go to tropical, right, and it's just like zero to it just has no legitimacy at all. It's just stupid. But Lahiri. And so, Eminem, right? Let's see right here. That's his birthday. He has Venus in Leo. And as you see, entered a relationship very young. He, didn't keep up with that relationship. A lot of problems, maybe in terms of values and the way that he values women. And so that's why he's single. I don't know. I don't know Eminem, right? But what we're doing is we're just showing an example because, right? So if you have Venus and Leo, you go to this website and check this website. You see if you have Venus and Leo, accurate representation. A lot of people that think they're Leos are actually Cancers. But they might have a Venus in Leo, right? Or another planet in Leo. Depends on what you were born. In some years that there's so it all depends, but the main thing that we're kind of gonna outline here is pretty much just why Venus and Leo can be one of the worst placements for a Venus sign, right? Because it's debilitated. But on top of it being debilitated, it's already kind of a questionable like set of traits anyway. So with Venus in Leo, you have people that are very dramatic in terms of their value systems and kind of just like expecting appreciation. And so what do they value? They don't really value like knowledge, intelligence, or truth. So they're very stubborn as well. And a lot of times what it is that these are the type of people that you see that are like fake alphas, right? So these are the type of people that like you see around the world, and they are like fake alphas, right? They'll do things to try to pretend like they're challenging you and winning, right? Which is pretty much how it goes. They try to pretend like they're challenging you, and they try to pretend like they also try to pretend like they have won whatever challenge they have proposed, right? Even though you don't know what the challenge is, right? So they're challenging you in their minds, but you don't really know they're challenging you. But then at the same time, they're like, oh, I challenged you and I won, right? So it really is like kind of like a psychologically debilitated placement where they just are really easy to fall into horrible placements, right? So the aspect of this is that it's just that Leo, right? Which is Leo has that self-centered, right? So they're very self-centered. So they place very much, Leo seems to think that it's like the center of the universe. So Leo Venus values kind of their opinion um, more than anything else. So they don't value facts. They don't really value like things like that. They value whatever they think, and that's what it is. And so they want to be appreciated for it too. You know what I'm saying? And it's very bad. And so you have people like this which will try to, you know, attack you, because the main outline of this and the main subject of this is that the main reason I'm talking about this specifically as well is because we live in a very narcissistic world, and obviously everybody can't have these placements, but who's to say whether or not the majority of the narcissistic people that do such things, you know, gang stalking or you know, anything like that, you know, the people that you see that are trying to destroy other people might be Venus and Leo, right? So when you have somebody who has Venus and Leo and they see somebody else who's being successful, right? So somebody like me who is you know, playing drums or rapping or making these videos teaching you, you know, going to the gym, taking care of your health, things like that, they feel challenged because you might value yourself over them. So that's a thing. Narcissists want you to value them over yourself. So people with Venus and Leo kind of have an aspect of that, especially if they're unhealthy. So the reason that we're talking about this is because a lot of gang stalkers probably have this placement, and you know, it really is shitty. But I think there's a lot of other things that go into this, obviously. But a good example, right, of, you know, just again to outline why the tropical zodiac is inaccurate. So we look at Michael Jackson. We see a Michael Jackson. August 29th, 1958. Alright. Alright, so when we look at Michael Jackson, this is a really good example, actually. And I'm just going to throw this in the video, even though it's not really related to Venus and Leo too much. But the reason is because this example of why Michael Jackson is a good example of Vedic versus tropical, it ties into it because he has Venus in Cancer, which is kind of you know, the opposite of Venus and Leo. You know, they care about like expansion and nurturing certain things, right? They value things that will nurture them. So anyways, Michael Jackson's Vedic profile is this, right? So he's got Sun, Leo. He's not a Virgo. Moon, Aquarius. Oh, I didn't know that. I have Moon. I have Moon Aquarius too. I didn't know that he had Moon Aquarius. That's cool. And he also has Venus in Cancer, which I also have. But so the reason why this is a good example is because he's a true Leo. Right, when you see Michael Jackson and you see him perform, yo, he has that like fiery, just impulsive, like randomly yelling, randomly throwing these dance moves. Like he is just like the superstar of the world. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what the Leo sun sign is, right? That's his sun. Michael Jackson's sun sign is Leo. That's what he was. That's what he is. He literally is that, right? His Venus is Cancer, right? So Venus is how he interacts with people in relationships and his value system. So he goes from being this wild, crazy, whatever to let's just pull it up. Michael Jackson interview.
Not pass judgment on anyone unless you have talked to them one-on-one. I don't care what the story is.
While Michael Jackson was known
Talk to him or read about him, I would want to know about what inspired him to become who he is, not about who he went out with last night or what.
Well, that's actually very interesting because he's actually talking about a concept of like don't judge people. But like you see in most of the interviews that you've probably seen of Michael Jackson, he's like, yeah, oh yeah, well I do that and I do this and that and yeah, I just try to like spread the positivity. He's which is kind of funny because like it's like Venus and Cancer. He's just like super just soft spoken and just like whatever you want to call it, right? So with me, I also have Venus and Cancer, but again, it's I have 2 degrees, so it's like a lot more light. It's a lot more intellectual, and then I have like all other Gemini placements, which kind of just like I don't really get emotional. I really don't. I really stay like completely logical, but it adds like kind of like a layer of like for me like psychic kind of just like understanding people, and then like a large focus on health, right? So I use my intellectual like value system, which comes from that early degree of the Gemini traits, and so I intellectually analyze what is going to be positive for my health and nurturing, and then also for other people too. So like I will give people tips about how they can improve their psychology, their health, or other things like that, which is actually, you see Michael Jackson talk about this. He's kind of like,
Why he decided to sit out in the sun so long? What's wrong with, I mean, that's what's important to me.
he shut that down real quick.